Hi there. Welcome to this week's episode of the podcast with me, Russell Davis. This week I'm inspired by an Einstein quote I came across. Is the universe a friendly place? That question really hit me hard because for most of my life, I didn't feel truly loved by life. It didn't feel like a friendly place. But something changed when I began to explore that perhaps there is a loving energy behind life, not judging me or testing me. If you ever felt like you're not quite lovable or life is against you, this episode may help you see things differently. When you do, it's a really beautiful and powerful shift. Albert Einstein once said, "I think the most important question facing humanity is the universe a friendly place?" This is the first and most basic question all people must answer for themselves. I came across this quote and this question recently, and it really struck me as almost, I guess I agree with Einstein, the most profound or most basic, fundamental question I think we need to ask themselves. And I guess I agree with it because I can look back in my own life and see the impact of that question on my own life without even being aware of the question. Just me having a shift in how I see the world, whether it is hostile or friendly, has transformed my own experience of myself and life, and I do believe it made the biggest impact on our fertility journey. Let me explain. I think our perception of the universe, God, life, Mother Nature, divine, whatever words you want to give our sense of life and the universe, the energy of life, often comes from our experience of our parents. And I grew up with her mother was very strict. I mean, she was a teacher. She was very high standards, high expectations at home. She was incredibly strict. She was stressed, anxious. She's an alcoholic and quite predictable. And it was quite, I guess, a judgmental environment. Things were good or they're bad or they're right or they're wrong. And you had to make sure that you were in the good and right category. Otherwise, you got shouted at. I guess unconsciously as a child, I didn't feel loved when that happens. And I did everything I can to try and feel loved, which meant being good. And I grew up in a church environment, is very Anglo-Catholic, and it preached or talked about a God of love, but all I heard or experienced were these conditions between me and this love. A lot of talk about judgment and repentance, which I guess echoed my experience at home, and maybe my experience at home shaped my perception of my experience at church. But I think the biggest shift for me was recognizing I didn't feel truly loved by life. I knew my wife loved me, but I limited that love. I limited how much I received that love, because fundamentally there's a part of me, I guess a little boy in me, didn't believe I was lovable fully. I had to prove my worth, my lovability in some way. That unconsciously I was expecting some kind of judgment day. I thought this energy of life, God, I don't use the word God back then, I'm not sure what word I'd use now for the energy of life. But my perception of this energy of God, life, that was going to judge me. I was scared of that judgment. I was scared of getting it wrong. I was scared of being in trouble. And the time I remember the moment I first begin to see or begin to experience the fact that I was loved for who I was. It was a game changer. There was such an overpowering feeling of self-compassion that I was acceptable, lovable despite my failings, despite not being perfect, despite doing all sorts of things that maybe hurt people, upset people. That I was still lovable, still acceptable. That I was a good man for who I was. I didn't have to prove it. And I think going back to Einstein's question, it relates to, I started to believe that the universe is a friendly place. The energy of life is a friendly place. It's a friendly energy. It's a loving energy. It's got my back. It's kind. I sometimes perceive it or explain it, or my experience of it is, I guess, like the love of a perfect parent. Sometimes I imagine being in that energy, and it's like sitting with a divine mother and a divine father. They're loving, compassionate, kind, encouraging, wise. There's no judgment. There's loving understanding and compassion. What if that was true? What if there's an energy behind life that is loving, kind, and compassionate, and it's got your back? What if you didn't keep having to work at being okay to prove yourself, to feel worthy and lovable? What if you are worthy and lovable for who you are? What if it's a birthright? I truly believe there is this loving energy of life. I believe we're made of it. We're part of it. It's like God within us. We're part of creation. I believe we are creation. We're part of creation. We continue creation. We're creative beings. We are the energy of life. What if you can allow yourself to receive that energy, be in that energy, fully and completely? With my clients, I often do one of my favorite meditations to help them connect to that energy and just notice how they feel in it, notice who they are in it, notice what they believe about themselves in it. Because ultimately, the judgments we have about life are judgments of ourselves. If we don't believe life loves us fully and completely, that the universe is kind and loving, we're not going to be kind and loving to ourselves. What if the universe is kind and loving, despite all the difficulties of sometimes being human, the challenges, pain, grief? Life is a contact sport. It's messy. I don't believe in an energy of our life that plans things out, that gives us lessons because we need them and we have to go through them. And life is sometimes really horrible and really messy. But I believe when we're struggling, there's a divine mother and divine father almost in pain, seeing us in pain. Just like a parent that sees a child struggling, it's not comfortable. And we can't live their life for them because they're young, we're here to protect them and make sure they're in a safe environment. Imagine my son's 15, he's becoming a man, and I can imagine it's going to be harder. As he gets older, he starts making life decisions for himself. And sometimes it's going to be difficult. Sometimes he might find himself in painful, difficult situations. I can't fix those for him necessarily. I like to think I can be there for him, support him wherever I can. I believe in an energy of life that allows us to be free spirits, to self-create as we are. I don't believe we're robots. So life can be messy, life can be difficult, life can be painful, but I still believe there's this energy of a perfect parent that cares, that didn't make those things happen, doesn't control our human environment, but really cares, has such a huge heart that often we can't comprehend that in our human self, because I guess as humans we can't really truly comprehend unconditional love, because as humans there's judgment, there's thoughts, there's messiness. We're going to contaminate stuff with our ego thinking. But what if you can imagine unconditional love, the love of a perfect parent, his divine mother and his divine father that's got your back? How would that feel? Well, if the universe is a kind place, yes, there's some unkind humans living in this universe, but if ultimately the energy behind life is kind and loving and has got your back, I'd like to think you begin to feel comfort, maybe not feeling alone, and maybe start to being aware that whatever happens, you'll be okay. Whatever happens, you'll be okay. Loving you.